Good evening. Welcome to Headingley. We're in one of the very, very nice interview rooms. A bit like a padded cell, really. I'm here with Phil Caplan. We've just watched Leeds, well, do all right for 40 minutes, Phil, and get dismantled. Really disappointing. I thought it maybe over a couple of cracks.
I think probably what it shows is how far ahead St Helens are of everybody else. No matter who their personnel are, they play with such speed, such knowledge of the systems that Justin Holbrook's introduced, that just before half-time and the 5 minutes after it, they were playing at a different intensity, as they do to everybody else. They're now 16 points clear at the top, and that's probably going to end up being the largest margin we've ever seen at the end of a regular season. They are that good. They had about 7 missing tonight, and you wouldn't know. Didn't miss a heartbeat. And yeah, all it showed Leeds was the level of work they've still got to do. That's the difference between the top and the bottom.
Leeds just couldn't get the ball in the second half. Cuthbertson dropped it when they went 10-6 up. Cuthbertson made the error. Nagama scored. He made an error with an offload at the start of the second half. They scored again, and after that, 20 minutes, Leeds didn't touch it.
Yeah, you can't make errors against this Saints team unless you defend with such desperation. They play with a speed that just wears teams down, and a skill level, I have to say. Although he went off after about an hour, Johnny Lomax again, head and shoulders above anybody else on that pitch. Nguama's finishing absolutely outstanding. People like Matty Lees that put in a huge 60 minutes. There wasn't a weakness in that St Helens team, even defending on their own line when they'd won the game. There's a real commitment. Farge, when he came back tonight, I thought again, he's kept his team moving around the field. And I don't know anybody that can stick with them at the moment. So, yeah, disappointing for Leeds, 6 tries to 4, but I'm not sure that tells you anything other than how far behind St Helens everybody is, and they are in particular.
Yeah, we've had some messages coming, of course, on Facebook. Noel said, congratulations to Saints for assembling the best squad in Super League. You've made the... Not being critical in last couple from playing different level to what was before.
He is playing with, and it's not just confidence, it's the ability to ghost past defenders. He seems that he's tied up, and yet he keeps getting either through the line or the ball away. Thought he was absolutely magnificent tonight when things weren't going for them. Nguama will take the headlines for his hat-trick. Zeb Taylor again was excellent in the way that he terrorised that Leeds right-hand side. But for me, it all sprung from Lomax. He just seems happy in the role that they've given him now. Wellesby probably summed them up tonight. Didn't have the great start to the game, dropped a few balls. By the end of it, Leeds couldn't hold him. And that's a young kid that probably won't make the 17 for Wembley next week, but he will play at Wembley in the not too distant future. And I think they played, was it 27 players this year, something like that. Every single one of them, if he picked them next week, would do him a job.
Yeah, well, I agree with Wells. We struggled under the high ball first half, but with ball in hand, a different player, and creative-wise, he did really well.
And up front as well. They waited a while before they put any substitutes on, and I think Ashworth, when he came on, was magnificent. There was no drop in intensity. How well is Kyle Amor playing at the moment? Again, there's rumours that, as there were this time last year, that he might not be there next year. Well, he's making a very good case, not for an extended contract, but actually playing at Wembley next week in the 17.
People are saying they can't hear me. That would be a good thing, I would imagine. It might be because I'm not holding the mic. Why? I'll blame Richard, even though he's a technical guy, isn't he? Zach said people moan about Agar. If Sinfield backed off and let Agar do his job, maybe we'd see a different team. Wow, I don't see any of these comments last week and the week before. So we'll move on quickly from that one. Graham said St Helens played good open rugby. Paul says he agrees with Zach about Agar. I think Agar has done a good job. We mentioned on the show last week the players that they've brought in the last couple of weeks. Although I do want to ask you tonight about Rob Louis. I thought he went missing. There was a point in commentary, we were live on TalkSport 2 tonight. Leeds at the end, 10 minutes left, had 2 successive sets in the 20. Louis touched it once. And I'm thinking, hang on, you're paying a lot of money for this guy. He should be getting his hands on the ball more. Did he do enough tonight?
Probably not, particularly at the early part of the game where I think it was still up for grabs, and early part of the second half. But where Leeds, I think, lost out tonight was Ava Sumanathanai went off quite early, failed his HIA. They have nobody on the bench that has his physical presence. He has made a big difference because He takes it to the line. He takes energy out of the defenders. He looks to try and get an offload away, and there's nobody that can replicate that coming off the bench. I thought Louis and Milo weren't as effective tonight as they had been the previous 2 weeks. But I think going back to the Richard Agar question, when he took over, this club seriously was in danger of being relegated. There was no cohesion, there was no unity amongst the guys that were out there playing. And yes, they brought 4 players in who've made a significant difference, but I just think he's steadied the ship, he's held it all together. Nobody's saying whether he's going to be here next year or not. That is irrelevant. The next game, depending on how London do on Saturday, is massive. They go to London.
I'm going to say that the defeat tonight, and this was a chance to beat St Helens. The defeat tonight means even if London do lose in Caplan, if London beat Leeds, Leeds have still, with 2 games left, would have a chance of getting relegated.
Absolutely. I think the focus now switches because they didn't win here tonight to what London do, and I think if London lose in Perpignan, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to win either 2 or 3 of the remaining games that they've got.
But they're against the 2 teams immediately above them.
Well, it makes them 3 cup finals, and I just don't know if they've got enough energy in their squad to win 3 cup finals. What I do know is that if they win in Perpignan on Saturday, the game against Leeds is the first cup final.
It is indeed. Well done to Saints tonight. Leeds disappointing. Thought the crowd was good tonight, really good atmosphere at Headingley. Want to pay tribute as well, it'd probably get overlooked, but there was a young man, I think, was taken ill at the side of us in the press box, and the medics were there and did a great job. I just wanted to mention that because I thought they handled it really well and it was all really dignified, and the young man was all right, I think, when he left, so that's good. Hopefully he makes a good recovery. So that was all very good. The other breaking news, Phil, we've got to touch on it. This news at Bradford intend financial decision from Andrew Chalmers, and understand the decision. The thing that I don't get is he would have known the cost when he took this club over, and this is like buying the biggest house on the street and not being able to afford to run it. So my question is, if you don't have the money to run it, why did he buy the club?
Well, I think the other thing as well is that, first of all, the RFL have got to sanction the move, and again, that is more vested interest in the muddiest of waters. They own the lease that Bradford are playing out of, and they have the decision as to whether Bradford can move.
Well, can I just jump in? Bradford Stadium was ruled. I want some play football there. The ground. Sorry. Now, Bradford Park Avenue just tweeted, Rugby League is not dead in Bradford just yet, vows Avenue owner Gareth Roberts. The door is still open for the Bulls at Horsefall. If this doesn't happen, we'll look to set up a new club for Bradfordians to come and watch. It's to the mess, doesn't it?
It is a complete mess, and we do need clarification for, why was it bought in the first place? What happens now that it's in effect a dead lease?
Well, and he refused to sign. This is something he said before. He refused to sign the lease, so therefore he should not have been allowed to run that rugby club, should he?
But the people that have allowed him to run the rugby club are the people he's now turned against. So again, none of this makes any sense whatsoever. There's been talk of advanced funds from the RFL to keep Bradford going, and the person who's been advanced those funds has now told the RFL, you've got a dead lease. There are so many people involved in this who need to come clean for the sake of the Bradford fans, but it's almost as if Bradford have got to go through this every 2 years. Now, if Andrew Chalmers has said we're going to Dewsbury for 2 years, but here is the plan for the new stadium where the Rutchard Dunn Sports Centre was and everybody's behind it. We've got 2 years to build it and the council have given us planning permission, and the money that's going to be raised from the sale of the current Odsal will fund that stadium and it'll give the RFL a profit that they're able to distribute, then this would have made sense. But this is a game of poker that nobody can win at the moment.
Well, it's a game of poker where everyone's bluffing. No one's got a hand, have they?
They cannot win because they haven't got an ace in the hole. So the RFL are left with an asset that really is of no value. The council need to decide who is going to pay to either fill it in and build a housing estate on the top or maintain the running costs of it for however long it's open. Somebody at the council's got to grant permission for a new stadium, be that one that hasn't yet.
But there's no money. No one's got any money to build a stadium. I'm not being rude. This is not like we're here at Leeds in a wonderful facility because someone's put up the money for it because the club itself can generate the money to pay it back. Bradford haven't got that luxury.
Unless the sale of... I mean, the thing is, Odsal was bought in the first place to keep it going. Clearly now there is a case for that. It's not going to be kept going. So what's the best they can do? Can they sell that site for enough money to build a new stadium and reward the RFL for keeping it over the last few years in a state where it has a value? I don't know. I think, as housing land, it may do. But all we get in are statements. We're not getting a long-term plan from anybody.
What do you think the future is for Bradford? I mean, they still mathematically could make the top 5, and you get the feeling that would be a huge shot in the arm for everyone involved, but it's a big ask.
I don't think they'll make the top 5. I just think they've left themselves a little bit too much to do. My worry is if you take Rugby League out of Bradford, you won't get it back, no matter what people say. When they moved from Odsal to Valley Parade, it stayed in the city.
And people didn't like that.
No, you take it out the city. Yeah, the core support's down to about 3,500. I don't know what it would be if they moved to Dewsbury. I think it would drop to a point where it was uneconomic to bring it back to the city.
Tough times. We'll be discussing it all on Monday night. Rest assured about that. We'll be getting stuck in, putting the burden on Bradford. The questions need to be answered. The RFL, for me, of a club and not, on his own of that, and I mirrors. Is Andrew Chalmers, for all we know, might be playing a very clever game because if he obviously does know what's gone on, and he might be using that now to his advantage.
Well, I also think as well that he knows that at this particular stage the RFL have no money. They've just released their accounts. They're £327,000 in the red, so they haven't got any cards in their hand at the moment. He may feel that this is they're really vulnerable. This is a good time to stick the boot in. What we need to know is what advantages has he been given while he's been in charge of Odsal to keep it going, and he fed him.
Do you think we'll ever get the truth?
No. Not unless there is a journalist that wants to take about 18 months to uncover it, and probably in this sport not.
We will see. That one will rumble on. We'll be back on Monday. Congratulations to St Helens. We wish them all the best. Warrington are at Wigan tomorrow. Hopefully they come through unscathed injury-wise and we get set for a cracking Challenge Cup. But the Super League weekend rumbles on Sunday. I'll be live at Hull KR against Wakefield. Richard is shaking with fear behind the camera as we speak. I'll say winner takes all, but the winner should have a foot in Super League in 2020. We will find out. We'll be Facebook Living from there. Download the podcast from last week. I understand that the legend might have upset someone at Wakefield this week. I'm sure we'll have more on that on Monday. We could be style. I'd like to Gary Schofield for the watch. We'll see. We'll be Facebook Living from there. We'll be back on Monday, 6 late. There's going to be loads to discuss. Who's going to be in contention for the drop zone? Will the Broncos pull themselves off the bottom? We'll see. Live from our lovely little cupboard at Headingley. Filling that salute. Beautiful. Monday.